If I was going to set you the challenge to establish some inner objectives rather than outer objectives, would you have any idea what I was meaning by that? If not, then listen on, because our guest on our After Dinner Leadership podcast today is called Gerardo Segat, and he's a leadership coach, and he previously was the CEO of a global tax consultancy. Grateful for his wit and wisdom that's helped me to understand a little bit more deeply what inner objectives are. And we discuss a lot around inner meaning, inner freedom, inner love, inner certainty. If you want any of those, then please take a listen to Gerardo's insights that will hopefully help you to establish those things more firmly in your life. Now, please remember, there's room around this dinner table for more than just us. So please like, share, and pass on this episode to anyone that you think would be interested and inspired by it. And we hope you enjoy this afternoon leadership conversation. So welcome, Gerardo, to the After Dinner Leadership podcast. We're pleased to have you with us.
Hi, Simon.
And for those listening in, whereabouts are you dialing in from today?
I'm dialing in from Lugano, southern Switzerland, very close to Italy.
Great. Beautiful part of the world, and slightly jealous. We were just talking before we started recording that the irony of having an after-dinner leadership conversation based in the UK compared to the culinary excellence that is in the Italian-Swiss border. But anyway, imagine we've had a good bowl of pasta, and we're going into this conversation now.
Perfect.
Good. One of our traditions is to ask a series of quick-fire questions to our guests fairly early on, 1 minute, and short answers are absolutely fine. Are you ready for that?
I am.
Name?
Gerardo.
Night owl or an early riser?
Night out.
How do you stay motivated?
By setting myself goals.
What food reminds you of your childhood?
Pasta.
Any particular type?
Pasta carbonara.
Nice. What is a characteristic you value in other people?
Authenticity.
Book or podcast?
Podcast.
Which podcast would you recommend, other than this one, of course?
No, this one. This one.
Well, you're very generous. Any other recommendations you would give?
Yes, a podcast run by a company called Ivy, an American company.
Okay.
I think that the name is The Leaders of the World, the Best Leaders of the World, something like that.
Okay, great. I'll look out for that one. I haven't come across that myself, but I'll search it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Wonderful. And you said you stay motivated with goals.
Yes.
I expect goals and authenticity are going to be things that come through this conversation. But what currently is a goal that you're happy to share with us that you are focused on?
I'm focusing on maintaining the goals that I've set for myself some time ago. New goals, completely new goals, kind of 10 years ago. And so I'm actually making sure that, I've got them and I manage to reach them every day.
What was significant about 10 years ago that you set these goals?
I completely changed. I transitioned into a new life, a new professional life. So I spent 20 years as a founder, entrepreneur in the family office industry.
Yes.
Started with in a service office in New Oxford Street with one secretary. And then the group became a 400 people operation, 10 offices around the world. So I actually reached the goal that I had when I was younger.
Yes.
And then I said, okay, but what's next? And it was blank, it was empty. And so, I kind of had to color it and set new. So that was the important moment.
Great. And what was that career shift that you took?
I went from being an entrepreneur in a consultancy kind of business. so like a multi-family office. So I was an international tax lawyer,
Yes.
and then I moved to coaching, something completely
Sure.
different.
And how did you arrive at that in your picture that you've created? What made you choose coaching?
I just color it little by little,
Yeah.
and I didn't know when I had the feeling that I had done what I had to do, so I exited my business without knowing what to do,
Yes.
and also because I said, okay, I leave this, and then I'm gonna look what I see, and things. I'm a strong believer that things come to you for a reason,
Yeah.
and therefore I just left it like this. I say, trusting that something would, the right thing for me would have come out, and this is what has happened. So I kind of, somebody talked to me about coaching, and then for some strange coincidences, I ended up looking at some things I liked. And I requalified, so I actually went to school, back to school.
Yeah.
When I was 45, I requalified as a coach. I spent a year to requalify as a coach, and then I liked it. And then, again, it was a continuous evolution,
Yes.
because I said, okay, I'm coaching, I like it, but what for? And so I kind of built a purpose around that, and etc. And there was an explosion of creativity. So I created lots of things. I like learning by creating.
Great. Wonderful. Well, I love to find out from each of our guests what three leadership lessons do you wish you'd learned earlier? What would be the answer to that for you?
Oh, well, the first one, I'd say find your why as soon as possible.
Yes.
What happened to me is, well, like to everyone, you grow up, no, and somehow the way that was created for you, you don't always go that direction, because there are bad events, because there is education, there are parents, there are schools, there are friends, and these things somehow take you, many times, from what my experience and what I've seen, in a completely different direction. And
Yes.
so the first lesson is, I wish I took a time for myself when I was at university, or, just after university, to actually focus on finding what is my way,
Yes.
what is my, so my suggestion, my lesson is, do it as quick as possible, so that
Great.
make sure you are on the right way as soon as possible. First
Great.
lesson.
Good.
Second lesson, all three lessons are inner.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Understood.
And the reason is very simple. I had a very tough childhood. I lost my parents, became orphan when I was 15, lost my dad when I was 6. So it was very difficult. Okay. And
Yes.
so my life was very much driven by events, okay, external events.
Yes.
And so I went in a direction which wasn't mine. So number one, find your why. Number two, cultivate self-awareness,
Yes.
you know. So spend time to look inside yourself and be aware of yourself.
Yes.
And the third lesson is set inner objectives, not outer objectives. So when I was studying, my idea was, I'm gonna, be a successful entrepreneur, build up a nice group, and money,
Yes.
people, success, recognition, power, all these nice things. Okay. And then I did it. And, when I got it, I said, okay, and so, so instead of setting yourself outcomes, natural outcomes of something else, look for this something else. And this something else is inner. So
Yes.
today, my goals are, and I call them the treasures, the inner treasures of a leader. The goals are inner meaning, inner freedom, inner love, inner certainty. Those are my 4 goals.
Wow. Okay. Where should we start with those? There's a treasure trove right there. That's good. All right. I'm going to go
I
to
told you, you didn't have to invite me for dinner. It's going to be a long conversation.
Okay, I want to go back to your first point there, which is around finding your why. In fact, all of these feel kind of connected, which is great. So we may drift into the other two quite easily. But find your why, find your way. What's your way? How did you go about doing that? How did you find your why? What was the method or process that you've established for that?
I remember when this happened to me, I came across one thing called Ikigai. Do you know that?
Yes,
Ikigai?
yeah, yes, I do.
Okay, so I was kind of reading stuff and I came across this Ikigai. It's just a Japanese concept, like the reason to live, no?
Yes,
Ikigai, the translation is flower, okay? The flower is made of petals, okay? This Ikigai is made of 4 petals. Passions, skills, what you're good at, what you like, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. Okay,
yes,
so 4 petals. And is a methodology at the center, the pistil is your why.
yes,
And so I was thinking, okay, my passion, I've done that like myself. And this is how I started getting closer to my why.
yes,
And then at the same time, it was a coincidence. I became closer to coaching, and I like that. So, there was these 2 things going parallel. And then at a certain point, they crossed each other. When I started this coaching course, part of the coaching is like coaching yourself. And you
yes,
say, okay, what are your values? For example, who are you? Who is Gerardo? Okay,
yeah,
what are your values? What's your identity? Who are you? And why are you in this world? What for? And I started to think, say, okay, I have understood nothing. Okay, I thought, this because of these external events, somehow, I was driving a path, and I said, okay, but there's nothing to do, Yes, but I like international tax, but you know why I like the international tax? I didn't like it because of the books. I liked it because of the creativity. You know,
yes,
there are complex issues, clients here, assets there, and story objectives here, businesses in another country. And then you have to be creative and put together a solution. Okay. So I like that because I'm creative.
yes.
And, but, I applied it there, but it was a kind of, I don't know, coincidence. It was because of external events.
So here's a question for you. If you'd done your Ikagi diagram when you were 20 years old, like the petals,
Yes.
what difference do you think that would have made?
Look, what are you good at? No difference. Other than, okay, maybe if I was 20, the list was shorter. Okay,
Yes,
now that I am 53, the list is longer. I've been exposed more. No?
yes,
So
yeah,
I probably know more. So the
yes,
difference probably would have been that the content of the petals at 20 years old maybe were shorter than now at 53.
yes. I'm wondering whether that still would have led for you to go down the route of the tax consultancy and the family business, or whether you would have become a coach sooner. Or I'm
Okay.
intrigued. Yeah.
So say my pistol,
Yes.
okay, the direction was I don't know which city you like.
I love London.
Okay,
Well, I love most of yeah,
say
London. Yeah.
London, say
Yeah.
London, okay? So the direction was to go to London, okay? And I
Yes.
start from Lugano, from Milan. Let's say
Yes.
Milan, which is very near. So I have to go from Milan to London. If I'd done it when I was 20, maybe I was going to Amsterdam.
Yep.
Okay. And then maybe on the way to Amsterdam, I realized, no, sorry, maybe I turn left and go a little bit. Okay. But I was walking that direction. I was not going to Naples
Got it.
like I
Yeah.
did.
Yes.
Okay. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Okay. It's direction. Okay. Maybe not exactly the straight way to London, but certainly, maybe Amsterdam. Then when I was there, I was going left, maybe visiting Paris. I stopped for a moment because I like Paris, but still on the way to.
Yeah.
And no,
Yeah, I totally agree. I think my questions are just exploring your journey and how you got to those places. I think I'm always really intrigued by that, and thank you for sharing it so well. Um, and then again, you've come up with these four treasures of a leader, set inner objectives. Again, meaning, freedom, love, certainty. You've touched on them a little bit. Could you give us a little bit more as to why those are such important? Um, yeah,
uh,
inner objectives.
okay. When I finished my first job, I looked at my behavior when I was doing that job. Okay.
Yes.
And I saw many harmful behaviors, shouting, denying, postponing, delaying, ignoring, blaming, things that we all do, wearing mask, things that I do. You will excuse me, probably you do. Everybody does.
Yes. Yes.
Every
Absolutely.
leader
Yeah.
does those, behaves as those moments. Okay. Those behaviors, I looked at mine and said, okay, these are defensive behavior from fears. Okay. So I was trying to build, I say, okay, I need to know what are my ultimate fears. Okay. Because I might have fear of no money. Okay. But is that my ultimate fear? Or why do I have a fear of no money? So I started, continuously asking myself, why this behavior? Why this fear? Okay. And I build up this kind of pyramid to try and get to these ultimate fears. And what I found out, that there were four fears at the end, that I said, okay, here I stop. That when I asked myself why that, I couldn't find any answer.
Sure.
Fear of no meaning of what I do or in my life. Second, fear of loneliness, being lonely or ending up alone. Third, fear of dependency from somebody or something. And fourth, fear of uncertainty. From those fear have caused all these different other fears and harmful defensive behaviors. So I took those four and flipped them from negative to positive: meaning, love, freedom, certainty. And this, I tell you, if me, you, all different leaders have inner meaning, inner love, inner freedom, inner certainty, no more discussions in the office, no more wars in the world. If somebody
Sure.
pushes a button to launch a missile, it's because of the fear.
Yeah. Well, there's some more people that need this message right now in the world. I know that's for sure. Could we just push into those a little bit more? I'm interested. Like, what do you mean by inner freedom?
Inner freedom means that yourself is enough, okay? That you are enough. So
Yeah.
that you don't actually depend on somebody. You live with somebody, but you don't depend on somebody or on something.
Yes.
You don't depend. Look, I'm going to give you an example. One of the things that we continuously hear is, and it's correct, as a leader, we need to be positive feedback to people because people need, okay? But hold on a second. Yes, positive feedback. But at the end of the day, I'm doing a certain thing. I don't need somebody to tell me, the show you are created is fantastic, this, that. No, it's enough. It's in my mind. And I find enough satisfaction, reason, fulfillment, all this time to be independent in the main thing. Yes, there are people who influence my life or who influence me, but not that I'm dependent on.
Yeah.
So freedom is that thing.
Great. It reminds me of Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. Are you familiar with his work? So
Yes, a little bit, yeah.
logotherapy and the likes. And he was a um, a prisoner in concentration camp in Auschwitz, and he realized that this kind of inner freedom, as you call it, was one of the you can't take that away from somebody. You can take
No.
their possessions, you can put them in a cell, you can take their thing, but I think there was something around them realizing that you could still own something of yourself in those torturous circumstances, those tragic circumstances. You could still own that sense of being able to have choices, even as a captive. It's a very extreme example, but I think his book "Man's Search for Meaning" is a really good lesson to us all in how to focus on what you can control rather than what you can't. And that's what I link as I hear this phrase "inner freedom" and how you describe it is with some of his work. Yeah. Is it something different to you?
I don't necessarily link it to control. So I kind of see it a little bit wider than simply, what I can control. I care and I do. And
Yes.
yes, I also take this principle, in the same
Yeah.
way. But I kind of see it a little bit wider than simply. Simply that, and I'm going to make you an example of this. Even what I cannot control, I build something that makes me feel happy with it. Okay.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
saying, I give you this example. Before I said this to you, I am convinced, okay, that what happens to me or what comes to me is for my good. Okay. When you are convinced of such a thing, it means that whatever comes, you are able to see the positive. And everything, I say everything, okay, is as a positive side. Everything.
Yes.
Okay. I lost my dad when I was 6. I didn't have any money. I was organizing parties in clubs, to pay for my university. I really had difficult times. And I continued to lose things. Lost my mom, lost my house, lost my friends. I moved to other places. I don't know, even the way I see these things is I couldn't be here today doing what I'm doing and giving myself a chance to maybe change the world or not change the world, but, impact. Okay.
Yeah.
If this didn't happen. So, and you see those people, uh, I think it makes a huge difference when you are in this way, because number one, you have radical positivity. And second, you have radical clarity. And when you say radical clarity, it means that you become one of those kind of people that has the power of creating magical spaces, like win-win scenarios. Say
Yes.
you throw yourself into situations that you need to find a solution. There are some guys who are able to find win-win scenarios, even in the most difficult circumstance,
Yes.
or impossible to possible. So I think that when you have these four inner treasures, you have this radical positivity, you have this radical clarity, and you also have radical humanity.
Great. Thank you for the further clarification on that. That's really powerful. It's great. Thank you. And now, would your previous employees recognize the Gerardo of today?
Okay, I'm gonna That's nice. I say the answer to that question will be yes. Okay. Yes, but I'm going to explain a little bit. I'm going to add
Sure.
a little bit of thing. I think many of them had seen at that time signs of this Gerardo.
Yeah.
Okay. Signs, not a person behaving like this, but signs, yes.
Yes.
And the reason I'm saying this is recently I got in contact with a very old, through LinkedIn and also on the phone, a girl who used to work for me maybe 30 years ago. And she said, even on LinkedIn, she said this, something incredible. She said, I am very proud of the human leader you have become today.
Yes.
And you were a person that you could come and talk to at any time. You were always there and available, and you felt like like if you were a human,
Yes. Oh, that's
something
nice.
like this.
Yeah.
So some signs, I
Yeah.
think, yes.
Yeah. But I guess at the heart of my question is, it feels like you've had this kind of a bit of an epiphany, kind of a bit of a transformation. Well, not a bit actually, quite a significant transformation. And I wondered, how much it would differ for those that were working with you, several years ago. And so that's a really nice insight. Um, Now, I am also intrigued by this phrase. I'm enough, and I'd like to just play around with that for a little bit. Would that be okay?
Absolutely.
So, how do you balance that with?
After such a nice pasta, you can ask me whatever.
That's the spirit. How do you balance that with keeping learning and growing? So one definition of I'm enough is like I'm finished. I know that's not what you're saying, by the way, but like it could easily interpret it. Well, I don't need to improve anymore. I don't need to work on myself anymore because I'm enough. And it's a little bit like um, people say, like I think it's also in this space of authenticity. It's like what authentic self do we bring, and and does that mean that we don't change? If I'm just going to be who I am, does that mean that I don't have to change, or I may not adapt my behaviors, those kind of things? So I'd love to just throw that into the pot and get your thoughts on that. How do you balance I'm enough with, well, I'm assuming there's a need for growth and a need for change.
Uh, I like to give you, I like talking through metaphors.
Yes.
So I was kind of thinking about a metaphor to explain this. No, what I mean is, if you're going on a long journey, okay, you have a rucksack, and there is enough food to take you to the journey. This is for me, I'm enough. It's
Yeah.
not, oh, I want to go there and look and this and looking, in the various stops, I learn this or I go to see. No, it is a continuous growth, a continuous, um, but that, and you go and somehow if that road inspires you, you go that road because you have this rucksack with the food, and that it doesn't matter whatever happens, you have not only with the food, but you have all the necessary things that are enough for you to go in the direction that you feel you like, inspires you, intrigues you, and so on. This is I'm enough for me.
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't mean no, not grow, I stop here and finish, thank you very much. By the way, it's a never ending thing. I
Yes.
said inner, don't get me wrong, it's not that I've reached inner meaning, inner love, inner certainty. I also shout, delay, put maybe in some circumstances mask. It is an ongoing, but these are principles that inspire me. So in the situation, in the choices, in the events, in the difficulty, in this, these are tools that I have in my hand that I use.
Great. And I can feel the passion for them come through very, very clearly. That's great. You also mentioned before we came on air was around the show that you're creating, and I'd love it if you could just talk a little bit about that. What is this show, and what's its purpose?
Well, when I started coaching, then just a little bit afterwards, when I started actually coach clients and so on, I said, okay, coaching is nice, you have an impact on people, but I want to go beyond that. Okay. And so I said, okay, I want to use coaching as a tool to humanize leaders and organization. Okay. So that's my purpose. I want to humanize leadership. So, and I've got one tool, which is coaching. And then I said, okay, but how about adding another tool, possibly a powerful one? So I said, look, I think that performing arts, somehow I have kind of noticed that these are normally scenarios where people open up. They take the defense, maybe because it's there and not here.
Yes.
And somehow it is emotional, it touches people, it really is able to get inside. And people often respond, emotionally. They open up, they express emotions, etc. So I said, okay, I'm going to combine the two, and I'm going to combine performing arts with the essence of coaching, the questions, no? And so I created this show, which is called Out as Humans, which is a live show that I feature for corporates, organizations, leadership associations. And this show is a journey. It is a journey of 1.5 hours, a little journey, inside yourself and your, personal individual story. It's a journey with stops represented by words that are suggested along the way during the show that express our intimate humanity. Okay, so this first version of Out as Humans, because I foresee new versions, but this first one, there are 10 words: heart, caress, fragility, soul, blank page, and so on,
Yes.
words like this. Laughter.
You're going to want to finish the list now, aren't you? This is okay.
Well,
so there's 10 things. There's 10 things.
Okay?
We've got
so
it.
So this is the kind of words.
Yeah.
And so around those words, I created a performing arts and a question. So the people watch the show, and there are interactions. People like write the most intimate fragility. There is one of the words is apology. Okay.
Yes.
So they write an apology. There are interactions happening during, but the main bit is okay. When you see caress, you will see a performing arts, a performance like poetry or dancing or singing. And then in the background, you see powerful questions.
Yeah.
And some of these questions have reflective answers. So you answer by yourself. Some of them you write or say.
Great.
So it really, it connects, because I think that's the real issue. It connects the leader being with the human being inside.
Great. What language is that being
English.
produced in English? Great.
English.
Fantastic.
So that's also a problem, I hired an acting coach, so I had to become an actor. So yeah, I hired an acting coach, I didn't hire an English teacher, but probably is the next is the next step.
So are you in the show?
Yes, yes, it's
What role do you have?
I'm the host. Like I am,
Yeah.
I come out. I don't know how to say. I come on
Yeah.
stage. I
Yes.
come on stage from time to time, and maybe I say a little quick story from my personal story, but
Sure.
they are instrumental to just open up the subject and the people then thinking about their own individual ones.
Great.
So I'm the host.
Yeah.
I-
Great. Do you have a dance coach?
No, I don't
No.
dance.
Ah, come on. Come on.
No, but I tell you one thing, okay? I have two passions. Okay, the first one is helicopter skiing. So the helicopter taking you up the mountain and then
Yes.
skiing down. And the second one is DJing, music, dance music.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so there is a show, and then the client, the corporation, whatever, can decide if they want to have an after show, which is a party where I do the DJ of this party.
Great. Great.
So I don't dance, but I DJ.
This is fantastic. That's great. Well, I really appreciate you sharing what you have done today. I guess as we come towards the close of our conversation, I'm conscious there's so much we probably could have talked about, but we haven't done. What's on your mind that you'd like to share that we haven't spoken enough about?
I'm trying to think about something that is not too far and that is close enough for the people to touch it
Yes.
and to see it, because saying in everything there is a positive side, I understand that might not be, it might be difficult for some people to see. And the one thing is follow your dreams. Follow your dreams. Just follow, I'm not saying you're gonna go and you're gonna get there. Follow your dreams and then take it from there. You see what happens.
It's good counsel. Good counsel. Do I need to know what my dreams are?
I don't know. You dreamed about having a fantastic pasta tonight.
Okay, no, I love that. Follow your dreams, Gerardo. I like that, and I'm glad that you're bringing your dreams into realization, into reality. Clearly, this show concept, as an example, that must have been a form of a dream somewhere in your mind, and you're creating it. I think that's cool. I like that. You're taking action to make it a reality, and that's inspiring to me. And I look forward to watching it one day.
I don't know. Hopefully, well, I'm sure one day it will come to London, and for sure, if when this will happen, I will let you know. And you will be my, my private guest on the backstage.
Please.
But I'm gonna make you dance, dance or sing.
Oh, sing! I'm happy to sing. Dance?
Perfect.
No.
Perfect.
I can sing, but not dance. Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Oh, well, I've really enjoyed this conversation, Gerardo, and it's been more than I hoped, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to meet you and have this insight into your life and how you're supporting leaders to connect more deeply with those with their dreams and realizing that. And I sign up to this sense of doing the hard work on the inner self to really be successful in the outer the outer self. But it does require a lot of discipline and it's a fun journey. It's a fun journey, but I think it does. Go on.
Maybe I'm out of time, but there is
no. You carry on.
No. I'm just thinking one thing. Before I said, this inner stuff, do it as quick as possible, just after in university. The reason is very simple. I've done it when I was 45. Okay, I was lucky enough as I said, that I reached financial success, etc. So I was lucky enough that I was able to do it, to say, okay, this is finished, and
Yes.
now I want to go in the empty space and see and find out. Okay, I had the money, I had this, I had everything to be able to do that. Okay, a lot of people, if they do need to transition, they don't have this freedom. Okay,
Yes.
somebody at university has it.
Yes.
Okay, so that's also one important thing to consider. Okay, when you are at university, you have that freedom to allow yourself the necessary space to do that inner work.
Yeah. I agree. I love working with young adults, talking about this and helping them to craft it as best they can. And I love working on my own, in my own space on this as well. Thankfully, I had a mentor when I was 18 who took me through an exercise of establishing my values. And that has been something I've then revisited and crafted again throughout the years. But when I was 18 years old, he was able to help direct some of that thinking, which I really appreciate. And I appreciate even more now than I did then. I knew it was valuable then, but I didn't realize it was quite as valuable. And I was lost from a career perspective for some time, but I think I was well anchored from a life perspective at a fairly young age. So it's an interesting, probably opposite journey, maybe, to the one you had, where I wasn't very clear on my career for many times. It wasn't particularly successful. It was okay. It wasn't particularly successful for a period. But hey, it was a gift, and I learned a huge amount from it in that process. It was a good thing that I had those challenges. Anyway, you've got me all reflective, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Gerardo, for what you've shared with us today, and I wish you the very best of success in the implementation of the show that you have visualized and you're creating, but also your wider work with leaders and helping leaders, young and old, to be excellent and to be authentic and to pursue their purpose. So thank you so much.
My real pleasure, Simon.
Our after dinner leadership conversation is finished. Our guest has left, and you're still here. Now, of course, you're very welcome. I'm glad that you found the conversation to be engaging. There's a few things that I'd like to ask you to do before you do leave. The first one of those is, if you can stop and think about somebody who you think would enjoy this conversation, a friend, a colleague, perhaps an aspiring leader. The second thing is to stop and hit subscribe or follow. And then the third thing is to start doing something. Perhaps there's a little idea or a concept that we've been discussing today that you think you could apply even a little bit tomorrow, tonight, and to put it into action. I encourage you to use this as a catalyst to do something different, do something more interesting, do something more exciting. And thank you so much for joining us. And please tune in again for another after dinner leadership conversation. You can leave now. I need to go and do the dishes.